So good morning, Dubuque, Iowa. Hell yeah!
Your hustle got to be strong in this industry, as in any other industry.
Alright guys, so I'm sitting here in Dubuque, Iowa, as I said. I got a drop off this morning. I'm sitting out here of, I'm not sure how you pronounce this, Theisen, T-H-E-I-S-E-N, supply company. Just got some totes back there. Let's see if you guys can see that real quick. So I got some totes back there, just one skid of a few totes, 120 pounds. I got here last night. There was some people here, but they wouldn't receive anything, so I had to come back this morning. Slept at a Quick Star right down the road, about 5 miles. Didn't get a great sleep. Diesel heater went out on me. Well, I shouldn't say it went out. It quit blowing hot. And I believe I know the issue already. I looked it up real quick. It's got a temperature sensor, so I'll do a video on that once I replace that sensor and all that good stuff. But needless to say, at the moment, I'm without a diesel heater while I'm out here. And after this, I've got a load going up to Fargo, North Dakota. So I either need to, either way, I'm out some money. But I either need to get a 0-degree sleeping bag or something better to sleep in, or I'm going to get a room tonight, one of the two. But I'll definitely be getting myself back towards the house, at least passing through quick enough that I can go out in the garage and snap one of the old temperature sensors off of one of the old units and put it onto this unit. Looks fairly simple, but as I said, I'll do a video on that later. Alright guys, before we get into it, if you haven't, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, comment in the video. All those things help the channel grow. And we want to grow, right? Alright, so I wanted to give you guys an update on the 2017 van that got in the accident on February 28th. Today is November 28th, so that makes 9 full months that I've been without that van. 9 months, man. Oh. And again, I can't stress enough how much of a hardship, financial hardship, that's put on me this year, combined with some other things, but that's been the main issue, is that thing there being down and then having to come out of pocket for a van payment and the insurance each month. I couldn't cancel the insurance. They wouldn't allow me to cancel it while it's under a claim. So there it is, having to pay all that money in insurance. I went out and picked it up. You know that I don't even remember when that was. It's been at least a couple of months since I went out there. And I picked it up. Okay. Me, my wife, and my grandbaby stayed the weekend in Joplin, Missouri at a brewery. Love the breweries. Went over there to Tulsa on Monday. I arrived there, went inside. Guy came, brought me my keys. I said, is there any paperwork or anything to sign? He's like, no, it's just everything's good. I'm like, okay. So I get the keys, I go out to the van, and first thing I notice, right off the rip, there's no wheel covers, which is basically the hubcap, the center to the wheels. I know that should have been part of the claim. That should have been on there. I know it. So I took pictures of that. Second thing I noticed was there was a busted mirror. Well, the turn signal cover on the passenger side mirror was busted. Don't know if they did it or if the driver had done it previous. So, hey, previous driver, if you happen to be watching this video, let me know. Was that already busted? But anyhow, then I get in the van, get in it, start it up, take off down the road, and the wheel, the steering wheel, you know, if you're holding it at 9 and 3, that steering wheel was about there. About, I don't know, what is that, about 30 degrees, 35 degrees to the right. off alignment. And again, I would think that an alignment would have been part of the repairs. So, I'll be honest, I didn't even want to go back inside and deal with these guys. I just wanted my van and I wanted out of there, so I didn't even go in and complain about anything, ask about anything. I just left. So, get down the road. Again, got the alignment way off, and something catches my eye out of the side mirror. And I look over, and you've got black trim. And I'll put pictures in here to show you what I'm talking about. But there's a black trim that goes over the wheel well and also goes along the side of the van. Well, the rear trim, the very rear on the side behind the wheel well, is just flapping in the wind. It's just fucking flapping. I'm like, you gotta be fucking shitting me. Got that going on. Drive a little further, and it's about, just to let you know, I think it's like an hour and a half from Tulsa to Joplin. So, anyhow, now the traction control light comes on and the stability light. So that kicks the cruise control off. So now I can't drive with cruise control or anything. Now the van's still running okay as far as driving down the road. Also have a very loud, best I can describe it as a whine, like it was coming from the drive shaft. Alright, so the alignment's so bad, I go ahead and stop in Joplin, take it to a Ford dealer that's in Joplin, get a room for the night. We ended up staying there like another 2 days, I think another 2 nights, so 2.5 days altogether before they got the alignment done and checked out the noise. They claimed they couldn't find anything for their noise. I think they didn't even look. But anyhow, we'll get to that. So, got the alignment done. Also noticed that the coolant was leaking. Got the coolant filled up. Just kept the coolant full until I got back to the house. But anyhow, got all that done. Let the adjuster know. Let the claims guy that I've been dealing with, or the claims guy I've been dealing with all this time with Progressive, know what all's been going on as far as needing the alignment, the lack of things that are on there. So once I get it home, I eventually get an invoice stating that what all had been done. The wheel covers were on there, saying that they were bought, but they weren't on there. I also found under further inspection that the front wheel, not the tire, but the front wheel on the passenger side, that's the side where the damage was done in the accident, they reused the same wheel. Like, it had the scrapes. Again, I have pictures, I'll put them on here, but it's got the impact marks on there. Now, it's obviously sealed and it's holding the air in the tire and everything, but there's no way that should have been reused. But anyhow, that wasn't charged on the invoice though. But the wheel covers were. The alignment was priced out on theirs. They were supposed to have done an alignment. That wasn't done. Oh, also, prior to me getting home, I had left Tulsa with my van maybe 45 minutes down the road, and the manager of the body shop calls me and says, "Hey, are you coming to get your van today?" And I'm like, "I already got it." And he's like, "You got it?" He's like, "Well, I got checks I need you to sign." I'm like, "Well, I don't know. You mean..." Like, I don't know. We decided on he's gonna overnight them back to my house in Ohio, and I told him, okay, I'll sign them when I get back and I'll overnight them back to you. He's like, okay. So once I get back to Ohio with everything, my plan is I'm not signing no checks, not doing anything with that shit until I take the van to a body shop that I trust and get them to look over what's going on with the van, what was supposedly done with the van, what did they do, what didn't they do, what did they do improperly, all that stuff. So that was my plan. Now, seems easy peasy. You would think, okay, if there's such bad work, there's still stuff that needs to be done, you would think the insurance company would be more than willing to be like, okay, yeah, take it there, if we'll sort everything out. What I was going through now was the insurance rep telling me that basically, if I get something done at another body shop, that I am going to have to deal with, say the things that the body shop in Tulsa charged for, and the body shop in Ohio finds they didn't do or did improperly. It would be my responsibility to negotiate between the two, getting the current body shop compensated from the first body shop for work that was done improperly or not done at all and was charged. So I'm arguing with this rep like there's like that, you're just trying to leave me out high and dry. And his reasoning for that was trying to claim that the shop in Tulsa was picked by me and it wasn't part of their network. And I told him, I said I didn't pick the shop. I gave him what, stuff I had to show that I didn't pick the shop, which was just basically emails saying that they was taking it to the shop in Tulsa and whatnot. And, I told him he's going to have to go and listen to the phone recordings, because in the phone calls, I never asked anybody to find me a shop. I never asked anybody. I found Ford, and Ford is where I took it. Progressive contacted me, said, hey, Ford cannot do your van. We have you a shop in Tulsa. So I'm like, okay. To me, that's Progressive finding me a shop. That's Progressive finding the shop. And I would assume that the shop is part of their network if Progressive is bringing me that shop as an option. Would you agree or disagree? In the comment section, please let me know. Do you agree or disagree with that? So, furthermore, more investigating on my own, I called Ford, and the place that I had my van initially towed to. And I asked them. I said, I asked them if they remember my van being there, which the guy that runs the service department, he remembers my van there. And I said, do you recall having any communication with Progressive saying that you could not work on my van? And he's like, no, I didn't, we never told them that. He said, we have a ticket that we started up, and what I recall is that we were going to start ordering parts, seeing availability on parts and whatnot. And I said, okay. I said, well, let me ask you this. I said, if my van was to be in there right now, my height and length of the van, could you work on my van? And would you work on my van? He said, yes. He said, there's no reason that we should not have worked on your van. He says, I'm not real familiar with that. I don't know who would have talked with the claims person to have them decide to take the van elsewhere. Now, I do recall that when I first took my van there, I spoke with a lady that was new at Ford, and she was very unsure of anything with the van. She was supposed to check with them. Now, I never spoke with her again after that. After I initially got the van towed there, I never spoke with her again. And so, obviously, whoever Progressive talked with, which might have been that lady who was no longer with Ford because she was incompetent, basically, they got the impression or was told that they couldn't work on it, that Ford couldn't work on my van. So, when I'm talking to the current rep that I'm talking to with Progressive, I'm asking them, like, hey, do you know who talked to who? No, I don't know who talked to who. Like, well, don't you think that should be verified? Don't you think that your people should have talked to somebody of relevance, to be sure of this? And then he's like, well, sir, if we talk to somebody that's got Ford on their chest, well, we assume that they know what they're talking about. And so, now I bring that up right there because later in the conversation when we started talking about the shop being picked, then I said, well, if I'm talking to somebody from Progressive, they're bringing me a shop, and they have Progressive on their chest, obviously I'm to assume that they know what they're talking about. And so that went back and forth. I mean, we really got into it. I got to the point where I told him, I said, don't call me back unless we're on a recorded line, because he's calling me on outside cell phones, which aren't recorded. So I told him, I said, don't call me anymore without a recorded phone call, and I want to talk to your boss. He tells me I'll get in touch with my boss, but basically he's probably not going to get a hold of you, and I'm the guy that makes all the decisions on the claims out here in this region, so, basically you're going to be shit out of luck. One thing to this guy's credit, at least he did talk to his boss, because about a week or two later, his boss did contact me and got everything straightened out, apologized for everything, said that the guy that I had been dealing with misunderstood or didn't, has more regular auto policy experience than commercial experience. So I still have to get all the details sorted out on exactly what that means, but that's basically the reason I was given for the mishap up to this point. So his boss tells me that we're going to get you sorted out. We're going to get your van to pre-accident condition. It's going to be, at the shop of your choosing, blah, 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 blah. So that's where we're at with it at the moment, is it's now sitting at Sarshone Ford, getting some repairs done. Oh, because that's another thing. That shop in Tulsa, I have no idea how they're in business if they do this on a regular. Whether they just tried to take advantage of me because I was out of state, whatever it was. But I took it to a First Body Shop, which is right around the corner from me. They used to work with Progressive. They don't work with Progressive no more, so I couldn't leave it there. But the body shop guy did come out just to kind of take a look at it, and looked at the invoice that I had to kind of compare what he sees and on this invoice and what the work had been done. And he pointed out several different things. Overspray on the trim, didn't look like they formed the side of the van to fit. That's why the trim was popping loose, because the body was out of shape. So the trim just snaps in, but because the body was out of shape, that's what was causing the trim to unsnap. And then, as I said, I mentioned earlier, coolant leak. So I seen something dripping under my van, so I got under there to look at it in the rear, and it was just condensation coming from the exhaust. But I basically dipped my finger in it, see if it's oily, smelled it, all that good stuff, to make sure there wasn't no coolant in it coming through the exhaust. But while I was under there, I noticed that the freaking rear end was leaking. So mind you, that rear end is brand new. Axle, housing, everything back there is supposed to be brand new. And that freaking thing was leaking, man. So, again, pretty much everything that the Kenworth shop in Tulsa touched, they did inadequately or didn't do completely. So Sarshone got a hold of me just yesterday to let me know, like, hey, that rear end is just trash. Like, they used wrong parts or whatever they did, but they said the rear end's trash, that the rear end has to be replaced. And they said that was what was causing the loud hum or whine in the drive shaft. So that part's that. Also, the coolant leak ended up being a lower radiator hose. And also, all my batteries were completely dead in that van. The start battery, the 3 or 4 auxiliary batteries I have in it, completely dead. So all that time it was sitting out there, they never disconnected them or maintenanced them or anything. They were just dead. You drive it, 4 hours later, start battery isn't going to start the van. So I'm trying to get that taken care of as well, get that covered as well. So that's where we're at right now. It's SR shown. I'm sure I'll be getting an update sometime this week as to how long it's going to take to fix it there. Again, I don't anticipate putting this van back out on the road with the driver until spring. But that van, the 17 rather, because I've got some other repairs I've got to deal with that, which I'll talk about later, outside of the accident. Then I want to drive it myself for a while to make sure everything's okay. So that is where we're at the moment with that van. Anybody have any comments? Feel free, man. Like, this has been a disaster, this claims situation. But at least we're going in the right direction finally, man. But alright, guys, so give you the update. I got to get in here. It says on the door that they start receiving at 8 a.m., but when I stopped here last night, the guy said that they get in here at 7, so it's 10 after 7 local time. I'm going to go in here and see if I can get this offloaded. As I said, I'm already pre-booked to pick up an hour from here, going up to Fargo. So I'll check in with you guys later, man. Be safe.